Kyrie Jesu Domine, dona eis requiem.
Good morning and happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Welcome to another early broadcast. Not as early as it could have been. I was taking care of other things a few hours ago with getting up and praying and getting ready for the day. So it's about 7:15. And just wanted to continue the run of these little 5-minute Hey Padre podcasts to share with you my prayers for you this Thanksgiving and your God's blessings upon you. Pray however you celebrate the holiday. It is a good time with family or with family and friends or even by yourself. I pray that if you are by yourself, it is not because you have nobody in your life as a friend or family member, or that you're suffering some sort of alienation from them, because that is truly sad. And I would pray that you find somebody whom you can spend at least some time with today, and thank God for that person or those people in your life. Because today is, above all, really a day of communion. It's one of the few holidays left where the main thing we think about on Thanksgiving Day is the meal. Not just, we think about the meaning of the day, that we are thankful to God for all the abundance, but really the big focus of the day, at least for my generation, was the Thanksgiving Day meal. This was one of those days when your average American truly feasted. You know, we ate other days and we had meals, but today is going to be a feast. We're going to have an abundance of food, both in its quantity and variety. And so, you know, this is a day nobody goes away hungry. It is probably a day of near gluttony for many people, which I guess is not a good thing. But I don't know how a feast, as an exception, isn't an occasion of gluttony. I would think of gluttony more as a repeated habit that you do all the time. But I guess there are individual acts of gluttony. So eat a lot without being gluttonous. I don't know how you work out that balance. But we thank God today for all the abundant blessings in life as we come together to feast. So in a couple hours we'll be having the Eucharistic feast to come together to celebrate Thanksgiving Day, to break bread and to share in the Lord's cup of blood, to eat his body and drink his blood. And one of the traditions we do at the end of Mass is to give out bread. We have these little loaves that a local bakery has provided. I can't remember how to say the name, Roskalani or something. I've had no coffee yet, pardon me. Just haven't gotten around to making it. Been too busy with other things. My eyes probably looking too. But loaves of bread to share that people can take home. And the idea of breaking bread is so important to the Judeo-Christian tradition, that our Jewish ancestors broke bread. In fact, that's really the first really religious act, is the Passover, is the sharing of unleavened bread, the sacrifice of the Lamb, and God's deliverance of his people. And of course, the new Passover in Jesus Christ, at the Last Supper, at his passion, death, and resurrection. All those things are part of his Passover. Begin with the Last Supper, continuing through his passion and death, and his resurrection and ascension. And we want to break bread because we are trying to take in the meaning of those events. And for us to go home and break bread with one another is to include that person in our lives, to make them part of our lives, to make their story part of our story, to celebrate their presence with us. That's why the Pharisees and the scribes and the religious people of the New Testament got upset when Jesus broke bread with tax collectors and prostitutes, because he was welcoming them into his life, into his ministry. And they were the wrong people to welcome. I'm sure he invited them to change their way of life. You know, Jesus didn't tell the tax collectors keep lying and defrauding people, and didn't tell the prostitutes keep, working the streets. But Jesus was with them before he probably invited them to conversion. They got to know him and were surprised by his welcome that he gave. And then I'm sure in the conversations we never got to hear were the invitations to leave that life aside, and that he has a new life to offer, and that new life is the gospel. And in breaking bread, we can come to truly understand what God desires for us and for all of humanity. This deep communion that God wishes to be in our hearts. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Have a blessed and thankful day. Thankful to all you who listen and comments you leave and the time you take.